You are now listening to Carly's Couch.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Lex.
In this podcast, we discuss a wide array of topics about life and how to live your best life.
Whatever that looks like for you.
Hope y'all enjoy.
Happy whatever day this is. What is it, Friday? It's Friday.
Yeah, we're recording this on a Friday. The Friday before you're listening to this, because we out here right on schedule. Hope you all are doing well today. As you can see, Carly is where she's at. I am in the bunker today, so don't watch my video. Just listen to my voice on the iTunes and leave a review. Leave 5 stars while you're there. Carly, I just wanted to say, because since you were recording this the next week this time, our last episode about having deeper conversations, that was something that I was excited afterwards to really take into the world, be like, oh, let me try this. But then thinking back on it, I was like, dang, I don't think I really tried it with anyone. I feel like in general, I've been maybe like listening a little better, like if people are talking, but I haven't really done the exact format. Did you get to try it at all this week, or have you been like conscious about it at all?
Man, it's so funny. I didn't realize how much I tried to give advice until this week when I was very intentional about not doing that. Every time I would go to say something and be like, reel it back in and then ask a question. Even if I didn't stick to like the 7-question format. And if y'all haven't listened to last week's episode, please go listen to it. I promise it'll help you have deeper conversations and actually like help people feel more heard and appreciated in your life. But I've used it with clients. I've used it with friends. I did it with my mom. I was like, yo, this is actually kind of cool. Like, it's kind of nice to not like try to be responsible for things. And I think that's something that you said that really stuck out to me, is for people who tend to be over responsible for other people or try to save people or do things. Asking questions is a great way to kind of relieve yourself of that pressure of having to do things for people and just kind of giving them the space, which I thought I was already pretty great at anyways, but it has been very helpful.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. I'm going to try again this week, and especially also outside of even talking to friends or relationships. I see it as also very useful when talking to maybe like potential clients, because it's almost like you're getting them to tell you the problem. So now you can reframe your solutions and, or, just actually be more effective at like giving them what they need. And so I do know, like I have a few sales calls I'm excited about on my calendar for next week. So I'm going to try to practice that then as well. Because one thing I notice, like when I am in a meeting or a call or something, it's like I just talk so much. It's like I talk so much more than I even talk in real life. And it's just like, and to myself, I'm like, God, stop talking. Like, just like trying to say things. And just, it's like, no, just let them say what they need to say. And like in the meeting, at the end of meetings, I'll still be like, all right, so we gotta do this, and this, right? Okay, cool. So you do this, and then like, you're just still going, and it's like, just stop talking. So that's my thing, is like, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try it again this week, starting today.
Yeah, I think that it's been so helpful. And like I said, even outside of the format, I was helping one of the nonprofits I work with do like a speaking engagement this week. And I like let her talk, but then I was intentional, instead of just being like, okay, cool, to ask a couple of questions to like kind of get to more of what she wanted. And I was like, well, what does success look like for you? What are you anxious about anything? And so kind of using some of those questions, but I was able to come to a better understanding of what she wanted outside of like the base level of like, I mean, I'm not slow. I can understand exactly what you're saying, but I wanted like a more vivid picture of exactly what that looks like. And it was super helpful. So in your sales calls and things, like, man, just ask more of the questions.
Right. Instead of trying to like sell people on, well, I do this, or well, we have this or that. It's like, just listen to exactly what they're saying and keep asking questions so that they answer themselves. Even when it's like, well, do you think, it would be more helpful if you had, better marketing or more marketing, or like, even whatever. And it's like, get them to say yes. But these are also all old concepts when it comes to sales and things like that anyway, that now it's like knowing some of those kind of concepts plus this, and being just more genuine and authentic about just really actually wanting to understand and know and hear them, not just like, oh, let me get this sale. But putting all of that together, I think, can make for like a very effective conversation and like a natural kind of progression of conversation to sell yourself and or, figure out like what the needs are for a person. So I think that'll be good. I'm gonna try that for sure next week.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to hear how it goes, because I feel like so often, like in any kind of conversations, but especially sales, it's always about closing the deal and telling them all the great things you do. And it's like, man, when you actually give them the space to find things out themselves, they might even give you other ideas like, man, you know what? I've never thought about that, but we could offer that too, or we could better serve you by doing that. So I'm excited to see kind of
no
how
offerings, but I hear you. I hear you.
She's like, now
I'm
we're
like,
clear on what we do.
That doesn't fit into what we do, so I'm sorry, but maybe next time. But yeah, everything's gonna be smooth. What's new with you this week? What's going on with you?
Man, I feel like every week is so different, which is kind of cool, but makes it much harder to plan for when everything is so different. But
why is that?
Everything is so, because outside of the stationary clients that I have, like when I have to be like places physically in person, the rest of my schedule is kind of up in the air. So I got a last minute speaking engagement for Harvard, which was pretty freaking cool. Got to do some self-care stuff with them, with the Graduate School of Education. And then like I was helping another friend with a project that's actually in alignment. So shout out to me for getting more clear on that. And then I've been working on my website for my new products and stuff coming. But it's nice to have the flexibility in my schedule, to have that space for new things to come up. But like I said, it makes it harder to plan and easier to be on my bullshit if I'm not really focused and doing what I want to. How about you?
My last week has been great. I've really been doing what I've been saying for a long time that I would do, which is actually focus on this biz dev stuff and processes and, actually setting sales. Like I've, had a business for a while, but I've never actually even spent too much on like our own marketing and or our own like development where, people will just kind of come to us or whatever, but really on the offensive with that. And it's one of those things where it feels good always for me when I'm doing something or I have some kind of effort and I'm actually seeing results, which anytime I start a process, I tend to see results and it's like, oh, okay, like I could make more money if I just actually sent more emails, like just little stuff where it's like, oh, okay, let me actually just do these activities and like to really see them. It was funny the other day because like even on Instagram, I put up a picture of me smoking. I was like, well, like I don't care. First of all, like I smoke every day, but that's neither here nor there. But it was also funny to me that one of the DMs I got that day turned into what's going to be a sales call next week from a nonprofit that focuses on entrepreneurship. And they have a dispensary, like a social responsible dispensary about, where they're doing some things as to keep with Black people and like not being in jail and or like how they set up their shop and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, okay, like that fits. And seeing just a couple of other people coming to me based off of the types of projects that we're starting to say and put out there that we want to do, and things just feeling a little bit, more aligned with that. So it's been good. I've been seeing a lot of results from work I'm doing, and that helps me to stay in the loop of getting work done.
Oh,
and even on the personal too, like things have been really good. I've been my therapist told me, she's like, hey, you're learning fast. You're doing good. Even though, you know how you be in therapy talking about the same thing every week. It's like, damn. But I think I've been doing really, really good about probably what people listening to us hear us talk about all the time. And I already know we're pretty good at like being aware, but being aware and having like such a short time of like flipping things, understanding things, recognizing things, and like, recognizing the cyclical nature of things. Like as I'm getting older, I'm like, man, my hormones have been so crazy this year, like so crazy. And it's just like, just weird. Cause like I really can feel like a totally different person wherever I am. And just like understanding like the cycle and in certain different spaces. Oh, it's like, oh, okay. Like I know what this is. I know it's about to change. Now I know like react in a longer time now, do certain things differently, be kind during this time, whatever. But just like actually accepting these things and not feeling like you have to control it, but feeling good that it's like, oh, I know what to do, during different times or when I feel different ways or whatever. And taking advantage of those times I feel really, really good, which the last couple weeks I had. And so I was like, dang, well, I'm up here feeling extra feminine and extra confident and everything like that. I was going hard with like, sending my messages and stuff. And then it's like, oh, those few days where I'm kind of like blah. It's like, oh, okay, I could sleep a little longer. It's okay. Cause like I did so much before, like, you know, this is just all part of it. So maybe TMI for everybody listening, like, all right, click. but but things feel good, and I think it's important to understand, like, even things not being what's maybe up to your standard of good or great or you know, whatever, isn't mean it's like not good. That's just all part of it. Like, it's just all going in this circle constantly, and that's just part of life type thing. So I can never really be like, oh man, things are not good, because it's just like just part of it, you know.
Yeah, I almost broke out into the Circle of Life song. But that's awesome to hear. Whenever you tweeted that, she tweeted something about, man, like, what do you do whenever, like, you feel good? You really have anything to talk to your therapist about? I was like, yo, my conversation with my therapist this week was literally like 10 minutes. Normally it's 45. But he was like, you know what's going on? And I was just talking to him about everything. And it's so beautiful to see the work like coming to fruition in a sense, like finding that balance and not feeling like you have to force working when you're exhausted, or that you feel really bad because you didn't finish all these things. It's like, no, it's kind of an ebb and a flow when you're just kind of letting things happen. And he was like, all right, well, that's good. I was like, is this bad? I feel like I'm wasting the session. And he was like laughing. He was like, no. He's like, I mean, that happens. He's like, but you can call me if you need to. And so it's like awesome to hear, you know, the same thing, that it's kind of a similar wave.
Yeah, I said that, and then it was like 2 days later, I was like, damn, so shit went down. So, or it changed. Like, I came off that, like, that real high time. So I was like, I noticed myself before talking to her about to get into like the now that was feeling kind of negative. But then I realized, like, no, actually what I want to talk about is recognizing like the fact that I understand now this cycle, and that it's like, it's cool, and like I'm getting it right now. And I did so much before that it's like, I'm still doing everything the same, because now I can recognize it. I'm just like working through it type thing. So I kind of just talked about it, I think, in a bigger picture, instead of it being like, well, something's negative happening, let me just talk about the negative. So yeah, man, just gotta flow through it all.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about flow a lot. So if you're new to the podcast, there's plenty of episodes on it, books that we've read about being in deep work and being in flow. But I think it really is a cycle. And I'm like looking around all my plants and this damn gnat that keeps trying to come for my life. Man, I'm trying all the
Maybe
things.
you living in the bunker.
Man, exactly. It has nice sunlight though, down here. But I like talk about forcing things. It's so funny because I think life has a lot of physical manifestations of things that are on the inside of us. And long story longer, I have a lot of succulents that were gifted to me. I have a lot of plants in general, but I have a lot of succulents that are gifted to me, and I'm new to succulents completely. And like them hoes have been dying. Like I like, man, they just keep dying. And I know I don't have like the best sunlight in the crib. So I've been trying to like put them in the window and do different things, and maybe bottom water just in case I'm not overwatering. And I'm like, man, they just keep dying. And I'm trying to save one of them right now. And I was like, my client was like, oh, how are your plants? Because they know I love my plants. So she asked me about it last night, and I'm like, man, I think I killed another succulent. She was like, so you got to stop. And I was like, what? She's like, you're doing too much. Just leave them alone. She's like, succulents just like to be left alone. And you're like over loving and doing things. And she's saying that her husband does the same thing, and that he ends up like killing all of their succulents because he tries to like love on them too much. And so it's funny because as I feel myself transitioning to things, like I've been feeling like a great ass plant mom. Like I understand the balance of my plants, and I can check the water, and I'm good at it. But with succulents, I haven't quite figured it out. And so I've been trying to like, I don't know, force things on them, and they've been dying. And so
it's so funny to say like I haven't been able to figure out succulents, because succulents are the plants you literally don't do anything to, like anything to. And they're the ones that people get when it's like, oh, I might travel a lot, or, you know, if I forget to water my plants, like you just get succulents, because you literally can water them like once every 3 months sometimes. Like they don't need anything really, because they're built to be sustained from the inside, which, I feel like I'm about to preach, because hold on, I feel a little something in my spirit. And imagine like if like people who can be like whole, and it's like, I'm good, but to continue to like, oh, well, let me do this for you, let me try this, because maybe that other person like really needs that. And it's like, no, you're kind of pushing it away. Like it doesn't need it. It needs to just be left alone, or to be what it's supposed to be without you could talk to your succulents or make sure they get sun, but it's like, you don't have to worry about all those other things because it doesn't need it. It has so much water inside of it. To the contrary to what you're saying, also with mine, I almost noticed that I left one of mine a little too long one time because I noticed it was starting to get a little shrivelly, and I was like, oh, maybe it is time to water it now. But it literally had been like forever. Like I never water them. But mine are also outside, so like the rare occasion it rains, sometimes like that's kind of enough. And the succulents on my balcony that I have, one of them, it has like, it's weird. I'm not explaining what it looks like. It looks like a little spiny thing, just like thick spiny thing. But now it has like this long stem that comes out and has flowers all along it. And I was like, oh, this is cute. They're not like flowers. I'll take a picture for you. Almost look like really small, like little Venus flytraps, but it's like a little red things that's like coming out the sides. And I'm like, where is this even gonna go right now? I don't know what else it's gonna do. But I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, because I would think like my succulents don't really change. They're slow. They don't really grow that crazy. But all of a sudden it just like went crazy. But yeah, like that sounds to me like a lesson in like not trying to force things so much. It makes me think about like relationships. That's the first thing I think of, which is also a lesson I learned very recently as well.
I'm about to say, and that's something that, I'm learning as well. That's why I laugh, because I'm saying like, for me, whenever I feel like I'm having like, when I'm really anxious or when I'm really down or off, like what I would consider off, like my room is usually a mess. You know what I'm saying? Like I can see physical things, and it's so funny for me. I'm like, oh man, I'm killing it and I'm doing all these things. And it's like, life will always show you where you still need to learn lessons. And like, I definitely, RIP to like, I've killed like 5 seconds. I feel so bad.
But how?
Every time.
Like, what were you doing?
Well, so some of them, I think they just don't have enough sun, because I don't have direct sunlight. And so some of them just not gonna make it. But then the rest of them I've like either overwatered or not. Like I tried to repot one and like accidentally murked all his roots.
Yeah, I think dryness is more important than sun though.
Yeah.
Like to not be in humidity as much.
Yeah, and so then to overwater them and then they don't have enough sun, it's like, bro, you were steadily killing them. Like you said, I think it's just like a view of relationships, or a view of like trying to do too much in situations.
Would you say that is one of your approaches to life? To when
For sure.
In certain spaces, like you're trying to love it to life, but then it's kind of squeezing.
Absolutely. It reminds me of, man, we definitely speak in hieroglyphics and memes, but the meme is like this old Indian man holding a flower, and he's like, you can't like squeeze a bird or whatever. You can't like squeeze it and like make it grow. Like you're going to squeeze the life out of it. And so I think that's something that I'm reformed, but like, sometimes things still linger. Like when I get anxious, I do overlove, or I do try to like fix things that don't necessarily need to be fixed, instead of like giving people the space that they need to do things, or to do things on their own, or to figure things out. So as I continue to get better with that in relationships, like it's funny to see like moments like this.
Yeah, it also sounds like almost in continuation from our last week, another example or another like manifestation of being over responsible. Because sometimes like in a relationship or a friendship, or it could be whatever, or a work thing, it could be that whatever it is you're kind of like needing from them, or whether it's validation, or whether it's, you just need to feel helpful or whatever, in doing too much, it's like people want space. It's almost like the more you try to like do things for people, they also kind of like back up, because it's kind of like needing energy sometimes, but it's like you're being over responsible for things that they maybe didn't even ask you for, or for their feelings, because you feel like, oh man, I feel like this person's getting distant, so what can I do? And it's like, it's not really on you to do anything. And I find myself thinking like that, because as things are changing with the pandemic, things are also changing, like with my relationships with friends, like people, like now we're kind of a little more out, even with like my partner, now it's like, oh, they're being more social, or, like, oh, there's other things that's going on, because it's like, damn, sun's out, guns out, we out here now a little bit, we vaxxed up, summertime. And it's like, oh man, COVID cuddles is over. Like it ain't just like somebody sitting with me all day, working or watching movies or whatever. And like, it was interesting, because one of my first thoughts was like, oh man, I feel like I get kind of disinterested. Like, what can I do? And I was like, nah, like what you always should do is be like the person that you were, like when a person first kind of met you. And that could go for friends or for anything. It's like, yo, why did I like this person as a friend? Because they were doing X, Y, Z, and was giving off this energy and that energy and being this person and do, being bomb. Not because now they're like trying to do everything you do or be around you or like whatever those things are that you find yourself kind of sneaking into. And I think it's just so funny that like the more you try to force it, the more it kind of like just gives off that, oh, I need this, or like, that energy just don't be right. And I kind of thought about that and I recalled, and I had been in a relationship for about 25 years, but like I recalled like my last like real one. And I was like, oh, that's kind of what happened. Like it was just like, yo, I need my space type thing. And I'm not the clingiest, but I can get like that for sure. Like with relationships where it's like, oh man, like, when it seems like anything else is getting prioritized. And I remembered that and I was like, you know what, like, let me like just chill. So one of those things where like now instead of, when you don't hit the person as much, like just write something down or like, focusing on your own work and your own things done, being like that person that, is what they like. Because that's the confident part of you. That's the self-esteem that you have and the success that you have and, being in your element. And it always happens like every time. It's like when you're focused on yourself, you're not trying so hard with other people. People are like, oh, what's up with you? Or like, how you doing today? What's going on? And it's like, that's how it is. And then you're also like, oh, okay, like to not really care, to let people have their space, to let your plants be what they are and let them have their space. It's like, you don't have to over care. I think that's just such an interesting concept that like, it seems contradictory, but it's almost like the more you're grasping for things, the more you really just push it away.
Well, and it is. And I think you put that so beautifully. And it's so interesting because in any type of studying, if you're studying like law of attraction or anything in the universe, if you need something, that means like metacognitively, like you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're reaching for things and grasping and feel like you have to hold on to stuff, that means you don't have it. And any energy that you put out is what gets reciprocated. And it's funny in terms of like a partner type thing, and like dating someone, I can always tell like when I'm more needy, it's so interesting because they'll kind of like pull back a little bit. And I'm like, oh, that's a sign. Like, thank you, universe. I need to focus on myself or do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime I'm focusing on myself, it's like, nah, you're good. You're full. You're whole. You're welcoming in all of this wholeness and all of this other energy. Whereas whatever you're putting out, like reciprocates.
Yeah, because like even looking back, doesn't it always seem like things happen or you receive things or get things or see an opportunity or a person or whatever when you're not really looking for it or when you're not focused on that? It's almost like these outside things are supposed to be things that are external. Like they don't have to be as much of an effect on like your internal, like how you're feeling, what you're doing, which of course they do. Like relationships are, affect people for sure. Not to act like they don't matter, but it doesn't become like your identity type of thing. Yeah, I would agree with that. I feel like you can always tell. And then there's something about too, when you're in that space, like it feels very fear based. So kind of going back to like you talking about law of attraction, it's like, oh man, my plant's gonna die as you like keep watering them. It's like
They're like,
right, like, or yeah, like or the person that you're hitting up, too much or whatever it is. It's like you're moving out of wanting to see something happen, or like you're moving out of like fear of something when it's just like, yo, that's just not what to be focused on. Yeah, but to go back to your plans, so it's interesting because I would think that, and no dig to you because maybe you did, but like I would think like you look up like what's the care for different plants and stuff, and it's like I'm sure them hoes don't say like don't water them every day or whatever. So it's like I wonder like also what is, and sometimes that's another thing too, where it's like maybe when it comes to other people, we're not listening or not paying attention to signs, but like we're gonna try to force it anyway, which also pushes people away because like yo, they're not. Like I'm trying to be cool, but like they keep, doing too much. And it's like, now I got to say something or whatever, it's like, why will we force things sometimes instead of just listening or paying attention if it's something or somebody that we love?
absolutely. Absolutely. And I did Google it because I Googled everything. I definitely Googled it and tried to figure it out. But by then I had already overwatered some of them and they were already on their way out. Because once they're done, they're done. Like people.
Because they
But
get that fungus rot. That's the thing. Like,
that's
because they're full of water already, so they can't suck in water. So the water sits there, and now the roots get nasty. That's what be killing succulents for sure.
That's the issue. I mean, it also sounds like relationships, like in a sense. But I also like how
it's
you
like,
brought
damn,
up
I don't
fear
need
based.
this.
Well, fear based. Anytime you're doing things like for you, it's never for the other person, and it seems inauthentic. And like they're like, "Yo, you're not even really coming to me for this. Like you're just doing this for you."
And you're not. Like, we tell ourselves we are too. Like,
but you're not.
Oh, maybe he needs this, or like maybe I should do this, and like let me show him I care with this. And it's like, if they didn't ask for any of that stuff, you're really just doing that stuff for yourself and for your own like sense of feeling like control, or like you can change something. And it's like you're kind of missing the main point.
Exactly. And I think that like it stifles growth. It stifles growth whenever you don't give things space to grow and expand the way that they naturally do. And I think, like you said, that really connects to last week's episode. And maybe that's why this lesson is so poignant for me, like in my life right now, is because it's like whenever you actually have that pause and whenever you give things space, you're able to really take a step back and see what's going on. I really love what you said about succulents, almost poetic, about how they have everything internally that they need. Like their structure is internally, it doesn't really matter what's going on. They kind of support themselves.
And you remember before, I don't know exactly what episode, but we've talked about maybe, I don't know if maybe it was people pleasing or something in that lane, but we talk about how people who sometimes you feel like you need to be needed, like you need to be needed. So you're going to be attracted to the type of, in this case, I'm just using an example, but like you might be attracted to a type of plant that was like, oh, I get to like do this all the time. And, or it's like, you want to have something more to do with it, which could be an innocent and fine thing. But it's like, again, pay attention to the actual thing and like, what does the thing need? And even in some like relationships where, yeah, I like, oh, I was with that person because I wanted to feel needed, or I wanted to change, or I wanted to do this or that. And like, it's not really working. It's like, you feel like it's not working, but you also like being there because you like having to have those conversations over and over. You like being like, well, maybe this or maybe that, you know what I mean? Like you just want to be that coach person or need person. And sometimes it's hard to like have a relationship with, in a friend or romantic, whatever way, but like with people when they're good, if you're that kind of person, because it's like, oh, it feels like, oh, they don't need me, or like that's how I felt before. It's like, oh man, they don't need me. And then it's like, but that's kind of what you should want. And it's like, yo, I need me, getting away from the plants now, because the plants is like whatever. But like with people, it's like, yeah, I need me though, because like look at my own shit, like I'm looking at the splinter in somebody else's eye, and I got a log in my own eye because I got a list of a zillion things, but I'm sitting here thinking about what gift can I get, or what can I do, or what can I say? And it's like, bitch, if you don't do your fucking to-do list and like, make sure your own stuff is together, it's like, let's be our own person that's responsible for us. And I feel like sometimes it's easy to be over responsible for other people and other things, as almost a way to not have to look at ourselves and the things we need to be focused on. And our own shortcomings, which is like, yo, there's plenty of them with every person. Like with me, like there's plenty of things. It's like, why put my attention on fixing anything else outside of the things right in front of me,
And I mean, that's really where everything flows from, right? It's like we focus so much externally on trying to help other people, or trying to fix things, or trying to derive our sense of value or worth from everything around us. And it's like, really, it's like, what else can I do for me? Because whenever you focus on yourself, like you said, it's kind of counterintuitive, but whenever you're really focusing on yourself, loving on yourself, focusing on being whole and healing and doing all things you need to do, everything else seems to work itself out. And all those relationships that you collected whenever you were like trauma bonding and trying to heal people and do stuff, and we're not Jesus, like, all these things, like they start to fade away. So like whenever you start to lose those type of friendships or those type of clients or relationships or whatever, it's kind of a blessing, because it just shows more of that growth that you're having internally.
When you stop being with people who are in a needy space, or who you tend to be over responsible for.
Yeah, like for example, I had a friendship that was actually a pretty long friendship kind of fall off last year. And one of my other friends kind of pointed out something. They were like, yeah, like, but you and that person, y'all been friends for a long time, but you're not the same person that you were whenever y'all met. And that's why they feel like you've changed and why you're so different, because you've been doing work. So it's not an offense whenever they say like, oh, you're not the same. It's like, I work too hard to be the same in general. And so those relationships can no longer have any space in my life. And that other person, like to your point, like they might not want me in their life, like when I'm healed, when they can't be of more value to me or can't help me or can't come to me for the same things because we're just not in the same mind space for it.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that the more you deal with people who are in a good space, the more it kind of points the microscope at you, because it's like you the one who feels some kind of way a lot, and it's like, dang, like why? Like let me figure that out. And I think that's the opportunity then to, like I said, be that person for yourself. Which why do you think sometimes I'm gonna say boring, but like sometimes it's like boring to like, like I'd rather do something, try to figure this thing out, this person out or something, than to like, let me do some more work that I'm supposed to do. It's weird. Like sometimes your own stuff is like kind of boring. It's like, that looks better over there. That feels better to do that over there. And maybe that's just something about like not seeing yourself or not, not validating yourself and like to look for it outside.
Shiny object syndrome. Like it's always more exciting to do that thing and this thing and that thing, but it's not really a distraction, right? Whether you feel bored, whether you feel like more worthy when you're helping out other people, like, and you can sell yourself like an aggrandizing lie, like, oh, well, I'm making the world a better place, I'm helping other people. It's like, nah, really the only thing you can do is help yourself. And so for however it manifests, if you feel bored, if it's harder to be honest with yourself, or like maybe it sucks and you don't want to do all the work and all the unearthing it takes to like heal whatever is causing those actions in your life or causing you to focus outward. I mean, there are just so many things that it could be. But you said something that's interesting is like, whenever you get those feelings, like it gives you an opportunity, right, to heal and to grow. So what are some of those feelings or what are some of those thoughts that come up whenever you feel like, you're maybe focusing more externally or you're trying to force something or maybe trying too hard? Like what are some maybe identifiers?
I would say if you find yourself asking what you can do about a situation that's not your own situation, I think that's a signal. And not like somebody's going through something, how can I help or be of assistance, but like, how can I make them love me, or how can I make them call me more, want to do this or want to do that? You know what I mean? Like there's a difference, but I think that's one for sure, is finding yourself thinking about ways that you can change somebody else's thoughts or what they do or what they're saying or how they're acting.
Like anytime you're focused on how somebody else thinks, acts, or what they're doing, I feel like that's a good thing. Like, nah, you should probably turn that back around and focus on yourself. I think another big one for someone who is overly responsible and possibly, codependent or ex-codependent, whatever, is if you feel unappreciated a lot, you're probably doing things that people haven't asked you to do. You're probably overextending yourselves again when people have not asked you to do. And so you're looking for some type of validation or fulfillment externally from other people. And then you're getting mad whenever they don't give it back to you, whenever what you're really upset about is that you're not giving it to yourself, or that you're expending all this extra energy for other people, but you're not doing anything for yourself.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's a real good signifier. And I don't know, I might be saying the same thing, but I think maybe if you find yourself it's kind of the same thing. I was going to say maybe if you feel yourself kind of being more upset with people or irritated with people over just like them being themselves or just the things that they do, I think that kind of signifies you having an expectation of them being something different or acting a different way. And that's one of those things to kind of check, like, this person is their own person. And especially if you're talking like romantic partner, it's so crazy, like how different people are. It's so crazy. Like my mind is blown. Like, why did we think so different? Like just people. But you really do. And it's like, I don't think I really thought it before, said it before, but it's really a lot of work to process like who a person is and to be open about yourself with them and to accept like who a person is and accept what a person is saying to you or showing to you. and when you're not accepting that you're irritated, you're angry. And that also, I think, goes with what you just said too, because, what is it that you're doing and or expecting now that's like maybe you shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great one. And it is so much work. Like in real like friendships and relationships more so, because you probably are around that person more and like share more intimate spaces. And yeah, they're tough, but they're wonderful. But another thing is if you're looking at like maybe irritated with a person or upset with them, it could also be because you're upset because they're walking in something that maybe you haven't healed or that you're not walking in. So you're like, man, this bitch, she thinks she cute. She always posting pictures. She is cute. And like, what's the issue? You can post your pictures too. Or that person always is so outspoken. They always got something to say. Are you upset because you're not allowing yourself to speak whenever you want to? Like, do you not feel heard? Do you not feel respected? Are you insecure? And so you're kind of like looking at what other people's actions do and taking them personally. Like, I think anytime you're taking anything personally, that's a good sign. You need to like, check yourself. And we've done a whole episode on that. And even with knowing it, I still think sometimes we do it whenever we get triggered or whenever we're not in our best spaces.
I think we were kind of saying that earlier in this episode too. It's like a lot of times, like when you're, regardless of whatever the circumstance is, a lot of times when you're irritated and or you feel some kind of way, it's just showing like where you're not hearing or seeing yourself around something. And it's like, man, you don't have to feel like that, because you can accept or acknowledge like, that you could be doing whatever, like you can do more of that, or you could be trying to, or whatever. And yeah, sometimes it's hard to like let other people be in their space because you're really like, man, I either don't know what my space is, or I'm not feeling like I'm fully in my space. But I guess it's easier sometimes to have those different emotions towards it instead of, recognizing that or looking at that. And like I was saying too, with just seeing things more clearly as well, like that's one of my things. Like when I'm in my progesterone, or like whatever the fuck hormone it is that be having me like messed up, like I noticed the first thing, and like because when I was talking about it, it's not even just like a negative time, but like what I feel at the root is insecurity, like about anything, where it's like, oh man, like with my work, like, oh, work sucks, or a relationship, oh, they don't like me, or with anything, like that's the first thing I noticed is like, oh, so it's like insecurity, which drags you into like a different spiral or hole or whatever. And like how now I've recognized like, oh, as soon as I start seeing that, like I start flipping it on like, what is it? All right, so like, bitch, get up and do your work. Like, and that's what I like this time. I was like, all right, so let me just do this one more task. And then, once you start the task, like, oh, okay, I got it done. And like, now you're in a flow. And it's just a matter of like sparking out of it a little bit sometimes, instead of going deeper and deeper and deeper and thinking about other things instead of like what you can actually control in your own stuff. So I think like when you're feeling those feelings, that's the time to maybe write or do something to see it, like see what you're saying. And now like try to think about like, okay, what am I saying about me? Or like, what do I need to be processing or seeing or whatever, that can make me feel less crabby, because there's something you can do. It's just, you kind of have to take that accountability in that time.
Me, how you just explained my life so well this morning. I just had a whole little episode with myself this morning. Like I was doing some work, got up, worked out, was feeling good, like doing all my stuff, excited about recording. And then I was like, oh shit, forgot to send this email, sent the email. And then I was like, oh man, I got to do this too. And then I was like, I started like feeling bad about myself and putting myself down and feeling insecure and just trying not to do it. And I was like, pause. We were having a great day. What's going on? Just like, what you upset about? And I was like, well, I kind of like at the root of it is something new. And so I feel a little insecure in the sense of like, man, I don't want to like let the person down or not do a good job on it. But I'm also like, you just gotta try. That's all you can do is like try. If it doesn't work, okay, you learned a lesson. And if it does, okay, cool, you learned something new. Regardless, you're gonna learn something. But if you never even take that step, if you just stay in that stage of beating yourself up and feeling bad or feeling crabby or blaming other people or whatever's going on, you kind of miss that opportunity to grow and to learn that lesson. And so I like talked myself off the ledge, ended up finishing the thing. I was feeling real good. And so that's pretty much exactly what you described.
Yeah, I've noticed that achieving through things and being productive through things is always what makes me feel good because that's what shows me I can be in control about stuff. But another thing that's interesting about what you said is that the idea that we're letting ourselves feel bad over a narrative that a lot of times doesn't even exist or may not exist or we don't even know exists. So, and maybe Stevon has said this in his episode. I don't remember if it was him or something else we said. I don't remember. But, a lot of times it's like, oh, like we're assuming these things about this other person or whatever. And it's just sometimes it's just like, they're doing something or they just want to chill or, they're not actually looking for whatever it is that you're talking about. Like, nobody, they're not even thinking about that or it doesn't really matter. Or when you get it done, it's like, okay, cool, thanks. And it wasn't any of that extra stuff. So, like, that doesn't have to be a thing, you know? Like, oh yeah, it was Steve on because it's like, well, saying like, well, what could it be or something, and it like outside of the negative, thinking about other things like that could be going on, and half the time it's not as bad or deep as we were trying to make it.
We definitely take our own insecurities and project those narratives onto other people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, so and so gonna be so disappointed. I ain't finished this project on time. I ain't did this. That person is like eating nachos and has not thought about it at all. But we're over here like, ah.
Right.
And I think it's so interesting because we can be these like self-sufficient succulents in a way, like, good and whole and all these things. And sometimes we still do this to ourselves for no
Mm-hmm.
damn reason.
Mm-hmm. But I think like we've been talking about a few different aspects of it, but like I think it does still all go back into what you said at the beginning of like not forcing it. You don't. I think it's important to maybe look at the different spaces of your life to see where are you feeling kind of disgruntled, and then really like look at those pieces and be like, yo, am I trying to force something? And how can I not? Like, what could you be doing instead of doing anything? Like sometimes it's just like, yo, don't do anything for a while. Like don't talk to that person for a while. It's okay. It's let people miss you. Um, just like let things happen and see what happens from there versus this extra energy, extra whatever that you could be putting towards yourself. So I think in so many different examples, like throughout your life, you can see like not forcing it. Um, but like letting, and I think it's mostly with other people because there are some things maybe where it's like, oh, so I shouldn't go to the gym because I don't want to force it. But like I think that's different. That's the stuff you use your time on because you didn't force it with somebody trying to call them all night and like now you're sleepy the next morning. So it's like, where can you recalibrate? Where are you forcing it? And like how can you just tone it back? Sometimes it's just like recognize it and then tone it back. And so many times I feel like you see an immediate difference because you kind of care less or you're not really caring about it. And like I said, it's just something about like when you're not worried about it, those people will like hit you up and then you have a great convo instead of every time you're forcing it, you feel bad because like, oh man, sometimes they don't pick up, sometimes they're busy, sometimes this. And it's like, or you could just let them, sometimes just let other people lead certain spaces of your life and that's fine. So that's the exercise I would say to folks is like, notice where you're irritated or down or whatever. And then ask yourself, am I doing too much?
Always. And the only thing I would add to that is like looking like using that wheel of emotion that we had. And if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, just Google wheel of emotions. And then so when you look at like you're disgruntled, look at areas where you feel unappreciated or upset or exhausted or whatever, write down those. And then also like write down in that area like where your actions are coming from. So for example, me overwatering my plant, fearing that I'm not knowing what to do with them, or even let me just bring it to real life, like over calling a person or over like trying to do too much with a person, like trying to force something with a friend or with a partner or whoever. Like, where is that coming from? Like, oh, it's coming from fear. Like, oh, I'm scared they're going to leave me, or I'm scared that they're going to think that I don't love them. Okay, well, where is that thought coming from? And so just really like seeing if it's fear-based and then questioning back into it.
Or sometimes I think it's like a fear, like, oh, I'm not cool enough, or I'm not doing nothing. And so it's like you're trying to absorb into somebody else's life or what they're doing. Whereas it's like, oh, let me just recognize the other things I could be doing or things I used to do that I'm not doing as much. Like all the time, I feel like when you're pressing it, especially like with a relationship, it's like, oh, I'm not doing this and this and this anymore like I used to type thing. And it's like, go back to who you are. Like just recalibrate back to who you are without these people or ties having to be a part of it. And I think it just feels better. It just seems so like counterintuitive, but like it just feels better. And it's one of those things where once you start feeling good, like you feel good.
Mm-hmm. So all those things that you're not doing, do all the stuff to bring yourself joy. Like live your life. Like people should just be a bonus in your life. Like not
Mm-hmm.
for them, not whatever, but just a bonus. It's a lifelong thing here. But it's so funny to me how like how conversations evolve into things, and that's like one of the
Mm-hmm.
coolest things. Like we talk about my hopefully not dead succulent. Maybe he's gone. I'll let y'all know next episode. But
Yeah, how about don't touch that fool for a week, please? Damn.
I'm
Let
not.
you breathe.
I know he good. He chilling outside right now. Chilling outside right now.
Mm.
But yeah, that's something I'm gonna focus on this week, and I'm gonna do the exercise, which is so cool because I don't think I'm doing that anymore with people. But I'll definitely evaluate myself this week and kind of just look through my feelings and see what maybe I'm not doing for myself, in order to like spend more time with other people. So basically, doing all the things, making sure I'm doing all the things to fill my cup.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I guess,
Yeah.
what I challenge you to do. And, you know, everybody listening, like, what brings you joy? Are you doing all the stuff that you need to do for you to show up as your best self in all the spaces that you're in?
Yeah, because I gave myself a similar homework not mid last week, I guess it's this week, Wednesday, where I was like, you know, what I'm going to try to look at and pay more attention to is spending more time with myself. And like, what does that look like? Which I feel like I spend a lot of time with myself, but sometimes that time ends up being like, I'm by myself, but I'm worried about somebody else, type thing. So it's like, what are the things that I can and could be doing in that time and doing a little bit more of that?
Awesome. So y'all try that. Let us know how it goes for you. At us at Carly's Couch, at Lextopia, at CC Fierce on Instagram, all the same handles, but at Carly Carpio on Twitter. I'm gonna figure that out one day. But let us know how that goes for you. I'll be interested in hearing like what areas you're either like slacking with yourself or what emotions you kind of uncover in certain situations.
Mm-hmm. Do we have any shout out this week?
We do. That sounds good. If y'all heard the little click, 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 that was me finding finding this week's shout out. So I'm really excited to announce that my line sister she's an author. She actually is super amazing,
cool.
But she just dropped her book. So Agent Nicole Lynn, she is head of football operations for Clutch Sports. Super amazing woman, Black woman in sports entertainment, has super dope clients, but she is now an author, and her book is dropping on July 13th, 2021. So you can pre-order it from Amazon. I'll put the link in the comments, but it is Agent You. Show up, do the work, and succeed on your own terms by Nicole Lynn. And the book is What Does It Take to Achieve Your Personal and Professional Goals? When is the right time to take calculated risks? And how do you prepare for the moment when the opportunity presents itself? And she is the first woman to ever represent a top 3 NFL draft pick. And while she was building her sports career, she was actually working full-time for a law firm in Houston. So she's someone who definitely knows the value of hard work and has been working on building her empire. So if you are trying to figure out what you're doing with your life, get into sports, doing business, trying to figure your stuff out, this would be a good book for you.
Yeah, that's good. And I feel like I did see something about that on one of my timelines. And I remember I think she was saying something about how it's like, I was trying to hold on to doing all these things for a long time. And I was just so burnt out. And it's like, stop forcing it and pick a lane and, be cool with that. Like sometimes it's okay to shed some of that extra stuff. Even though it sounds cool, even though it might be paying great, it's like, sometimes it's not really worth it. So I think I saw her talking about something like that, where she was like, I had to let go of, I think I don't know if it's being a lawyer, probably like leaving the firm or something, but
she just quit.
Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes it's like, it's okay to not be doing the most all the time.
And I think it's good that we make that decision before our bodies force us into that, before we shut down, before you're burnt out, before you end up in the hospital. I'm not saying that's her story, but just saying like, make sure that you're making those decisions on your own accord and not being forced into it by whatever's going on. But she has an amazing story. So definitely check that out. Just a dope person in general. So I know it'll be inspirational and walk away with some actual substance.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then if y'all have any shout outs, please let us know. We love to celebrate people doing great things and sharing things. But for the question of the week, What do you need to shed in order to grow?
In general, shed in order to grow. I guess I'm gonna be semi-lazy and keep it with what we're kind of talking about, which is shedding. I don't know. There's a way to make it deeper. So on the surface of all, I'll say maybe shedding like dependencies, but shedding putting other people's emotions ahead of mine, or not just emotions, but like other people's issues and stuff ahead of my own, which I'm really just doing for my own build up anyway, if I am doing it.
I'm gonna say, which I think is the more interesting thing. It's like the motivation behind it.
Yeah, because I ain't talking about just doing extra work for people for no reason. I don't even do that. But like,
so do not hit her up for that. And I think that's great. I think, I'm like, is this a basic one? I'm gonna say you'll tell me if it's basic. I don't have to worry about that. Shedding my narrative of myself that I have to be all things to all people, and I think that'll help me kind of stop being extra and trying to force something and just like let me chill a little bit more. If I don't feel like I need to be superwoman for everybody, just myself, I'm good.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. You should have said you're gonna stop watering them plants, but I'm gonna let it slide. You're gonna do that anyway.
No. I'm not touching them damn succulents. I'm gonna let them look until I start to see them shrivel up. I'm not touching them.
See, we're opposite because I let my plants get dry as hell, and I was like, ooh. Like that's what made me realize like, yo, I need to focus more on myself. So like yours is more like I need to chill, like fall back. Mine was like, yo, I need to focus more on myself and like take care of my home and my plants instead of being in the streets and doing whatever else, being in the bunker like y'all see me in right now. So but anyway, I'm gonna let y'all mind y'all business and just leave it at that. Right. See y'all next week. Bye.